broken all the bones there, and I'd broken my skull at multiple places, like all over. Essentially, my head had been crushed. When your life's about to be taken from you, you get extreme clarity. I'm going to do it, or I'll die doing it, and everyone can remember me as the guy that tried.
On the podcast, we have Cyrus. Welcome, Cyrus, to the Inside Addiction podcast.
Hi, Luke. Thank you. Good to be here.
No, awesome. So I wonder, Cyrus, if you could start us off just by telling us a bit about your story and some of the things you've been through in the past.
Yeah, sure. I'll give you like an overview, and then we can get into anything you like. I'm from Wales. I joined the Royal Marines at age 16. Spent 5 years as a Royal Marines Commando, and then spent 4.5 years of my life backpacking around the world, just living on beaches, drinking beers, pretty much bumming around. And then 11 years ago, I moved to Dubai, and because I wanted to make something with my life, I wanted to start a career and start taking things a little bit more seriously. So I thought Dubai would just be a great place to move to 11 years ago. Moved here on my own, got a job as a personal trainer. Now I've started multiple successful businesses. I have a wife, I have a son that's 1.5 years. And that is me in a nutshell.
Yeah. Okay. So take us back to the Royal Marines. What was that like? And what kind of experiences did you have there?
No, sure. I think it's good to start with why I joined. My parents had divorced when I was around 12 years old, and my mum had left my dad and took my 2 sisters and brother with her. And we cut contact at that point with my mum and 2 sisters and brothers. So that was quite a traumatic event. And I was smoking weed, drinking alcohol, hanging around on the streets, got suspended from school, and was quite lost until a friend of mine showed me a photograph of his older brother. And his older brother just so happened to be a Royal Marines Commando. And that photo really hit me hard in the sense that I kind of knew that it was a path that I could take that wasn't academic, because I was not good in school academically at all. So I realized when he told me, like, you have to be fit. And I thought, okay, I'm not fit, but I can probably run and get fit. So I became obsessed at that young age to become a Royal Marines Commando. And when I say obsessed, I mean, we would go down to the beach, me and my friend, the guy that showed me the photo. I was the best man at his wedding. He was the best man at my wedding. We've been good friends ever since. He was from a broken family, a much worse situation than I was in, actually. His mum was an alcoholic, schizophrenic. His dad was living in Saudi working. His sister was bringing him up. So we had this kind of like, he also wanted to escape, right? I wanted to escape. So we were training. We would go down to the beach before the sun come up in the middle of the UK winter at this young age, running up and down the beach for miles and hours in the weather, freezing, like absolutely freezing, doing push-ups in the ocean and squats and stuff, getting ourselves mentally and physically prepared for the military. And I joined at that early age, and it wasn't easy to get through training at that early age. My body hadn't fully developed. Everyone really told me that this would be the case, but obviously I didn't want to listen. I just wanted to escape and go on my adventure. And there were some struggles, you know. Basically what I learned from going through Royal Marines Commando training at such a young age is when you haven't got a plan B, right, and you've just got only one avenue to go down, you'll make it happen, right? Like, I feel like too many people set a plan A, which is what they really want in life, and then they set a plan B and a plan C. And when plan A gets hard, which it will, that's the whole point, we can easily slide into plan B and be like, oh, this is okay, I'm comfortable here. But no, you want plan A, right? So that was the whole Royal Marines experience. And for me, to be honest, being a Royal Marines Commando at that age, with my family not being there for some of my childhood, it was my new family, right? I was living with the guys, we were very close, the banter was amazing, and I just felt like that was my new family and my new home.
Yeah, yeah. And like you said, you burned the ships. That was the only option. There was no backup plans, no plan B, no plan C. When things got really dark and hard and challenging, kind of going into the Royal Marines, what resources did you pull? Where did you go in your mind and in your kind of soul
Yeah,
to get through it?
mate, that's a really good question. So from 12, when I saw this photograph, when I was in that kind of like place where I wasn't enjoying life at all, it stuck with me. And I told my dad, who I was living with, like, must have been like tens of thousands of times, that I was going to be a Royal Marines Commando. I'm going to do this. This is what I want to do. I'm going to be a Marine. And I wasn't going to school. My dad was like, well, if you're big enough to make the decision not to go to school, you're big enough to deal with the consequences. If you want to be a Marine, that's fine. I'll support you. But if that doesn't work out, you've got nothing to fall on, right? You've got no grades, essentially. What are you going to do? So going through training, I failed. There's the famous commando test at the end of training. I failed them the first 3 times, and I got put into this recovery troop. I had this crazy infection in my leg, and it had grown up into my hip, and I was peeing like blood, and it was brown, and it was just I kept it hidden from the training team because I didn't want them to pull me out of training. I thought, if they see it, surely they're going to send me home. So I was hiding it naively, not understanding that I could have seen a doctor and he could have given me some meds for it and I probably would have been fine. So I'd let this thing build for like 6 weeks and my leg was screwed, right? And the doctor actually told me, like, look, if you'd have kept this a little bit longer, just a few short years ago, I wouldn't have asked you any questions. I would have put you to sleep and chopped your leg off. That's how serious this is, right? And I was 16 years old. I'm 38 now. It was a long time ago. So when I was going through all this, I would tell myself, you're going to get your commando green beret or you're going to die. Because there's no way I'm going home and telling my dad that I could not make it. Because I told him so many times that I was going to do it, right? And the second thing is, I hated my hometown. I hated the people there. It was because I was a little bit of an outcast. I was shy. I didn't understand school. I wasn't one of the cool kids. My name's Cyrus, not Michael or Adam or John, right? I was different. And I always knew that I was meant for more and I always wanted to escape. So I had 2 things really. It was, I've got nothing else to do and I hate my hometown and I can't tell my dad that I wasn't good enough to make it because I told him so many times. It was like done deal, like, gonna get it, I'm gonna do it, or I'll die doing it. And everyone can remember me as the guy that tried. So that was really my mindset. And people say, oh, there's no way people have said to me before, no, you didn't tell yourself you're gonna die. Like, I told myself that. I told myself, either I die doing this or I get my green beret. Like, there's no other option. And if it, like, at 16 years old, I had no real concept of money in the sense that I understood what money was. Obviously, I was getting paid and I could spend it. But if you'd have come up to me and you'd have said, let's take a figure, if you'd have come up to me and said £1 million at that age, I probably wouldn't have been able to have conceived £1 million. Like, I wouldn't have been able to comprehend how much £1 million was, right? It would have been like 10 billion. If you'd have said, here's 10 billion, right? It would have been like that when I was 16. If you'd have told me, here's £1 million, go home, buy a house, settle down, take the money, I'd be like, no, you could have thrown any number at me. It wouldn't have mattered. No, I'm going to become a Royal Marines Commando. And that was it. So that again has really helped me in life now. I'm older and I'm doing other things because I tell myself, I go through doubts in my head as well, right? When I set a goal, can I do it? Am I good enough? Am I going to embarrass myself? All these other thoughts that come to any human when they set a goal for themselves. And I think back and I'm like, okay, do you really want to do it, Cyrus? Yes. Perfect. Then shut the up and go for it. Whatever happens, it's all good. But as long as you know in your heart that you tried your best and you tried to do it and you didn't settle for a plan B or a plan C, because ultimately when I have settled for a B or a C, I become miserable at some point and disappointed,
Yeah.
So
And when life presents you with so many options, I'm guessing it's important to decide on what ones of those are do or die, right? Which one of those are like, I'm going to see this to the end, especially in business when we have so many shiny objects and different stuff going on. You live in Dubai, you could live in anywhere in the world. Like, how do you make those decisions of what really is going to be the all-in force?
Yeah, that's another fantastic question. And I struggle with this all the time, like straight up. I'll be like, am I supposed to be doing this? Should I be doing this? Am I wasting my time on this? And it's something that I haven't perfected, but what I do try and tell myself is, okay, Cyrus, what kind of life do you want to live? Like, I feel like people don't take the time to just sit back, no distractions, take a few days, take a few weeks if you need to. Think about the kind of life that would make you happy. Like when you wake up, what kind of activities do you want to be doing with your time that makes you happy, right? Once we figure that out, then we can channel our energy and our focus to try and make that happen. I feel like a lot of people wake up and they just let the day dictate what they're going to do, right? They're just reactive to things. Whereas if we just take a step back and lay it out, like, what kind of life do I want to live? What makes me happy? Okay, let's start building that life. Then you know at least what you're doing. Maybe you don't enjoy it in a moment, but it's working towards something. You have a purpose, right? I think that's really important to spend that time. I feel like a lot of people don't. So I try and write out my goals every year. Obviously, it's coming up to 2024 soon. So I'll be spending some time. I've purposely dialed back on my calendar over the last couple of weeks. I'm purposely sleeping a little bit more. I've taken my workload down a little bit. I'm spending time walking each day, doing my exercises and everything that I normally would. And that's purposely to ponder and reflect and think ready for 2024.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing I say to clients all the time when it comes to addiction is you need to kind of have a vision that's like 10x bigger than that. If your only job in life is just to wake up and not drink or use drugs, that's okay, but you need more than that. Like I went for way more than that. To me, that was just like table stakes. I needed to get through that. And that's what I'm hearing from you is like really having that vision that's going to drive you, that's going to be bigger than just wasting time drinking and doing drugs. It's going to be bigger than all of your fears and insecurities that's going to really drive you to move forward and push.
Yeah, absolutely. I do feel like sometimes I've been too much, I've been too selfish, right? Thinking it's all about me. And I feel like when we focus on us, on our problems and how we feel and our situation and me, that's when the problems can creep in, you know. And when you're busy, you keep yourself busy, you have a purpose, you wake up and you have something to drive you on, and you just kept busy basically. You know, I feel like as humans, we're not supposed to lay around staring at screens, thinking too much, you know, like there is a time and a place for that, but you need to fill your day with activities, positive activities, stuff that gets you going. I'm a big advocate of exercise. It's what I do. I've coached people for, you know, fitness, nutrition, mindset for many years. And I feel like having a fitness routine, something to ground you, something to wake up for in the morning, get the endorphins flowing, set you up in a different mood. Okay, get that aggression out or whatever you've got going on, just de-stress with the exercise. Doing that every morning can really help as well because it sets you up with a different mindset and it levels you up before you interact with people and go about your day.
Yeah, and exercise is really, really important. And as such a foundational thing in life in general. And I want to get on to exercise and your own story of addiction. But I want to circle back to one thing that you spent time in Afghanistan with the Royal Marines or as a Royal Marine. I mean, what was that like being in Afghanistan? What was that like? Balancing a successful career while struggling with addiction can be incredibly challenging. At Leisure Inside Addiction, we understand the unique pressures you face as a functioning professional, and our structured counselling provides you with the strategies and support you need to regain control without compromising your professional life. So visit insideaddiction.co.uk/consultation and book your free phone consultation with me, and I'll discuss your unique situation and help you break the cycle of addiction.
Yeah. Well, it was quite a significant time of my life because, long story short, after about 6 weeks of being there, I ended up getting my head crushed essentially. I got stuck between two trucks. I didn't know it at the time, obviously, but I'd broken my jaw in three places. I'd smashed the right side of my face up, broken all the bones there, and I'd broken my skull at multiple places, like all over. Essentially, my head had been crushed. And I was lying on the desert floor, about to die, basically. I had blood pouring out of my eyes, nose, mouth, ears. I could hear everyone around me very worried, like, oh my God, he's not going to make it. He's on his way out. I couldn't speak. I wasn't in any pain, but I'm sure if they'd have left me there for maybe an hour, I probably would have passed away. When your life's about to be taken from you, you get extreme clarity. And the clarity I had was, I feel regret, I feel angry, and that I haven't lived my life. I was 21 years old. I was lying on the desert floor about to die. There's no ego. There's no thinking what this person or that person thinks or whatever. It's just end. How was your life? This is going to end right now. In a minute, you're going to pass away, and what you know, your consciousness is going to disappear. How was your life? And I wasn't happy with my life. So I was actually squeezing the hands of my friends that had gathered around me, and I was screaming at the top of my voice, and I was in no pain. I couldn't feel a thing. My body was completely numb. I was frustrated, annoyed, felt regret. And the ambulance come, and again, just giving you like a general summary of what happened, because there's a lot of things that happened after that, but they realized that I had some serious head injuries. They told me they were going to fly me to a hospital in Afghanistan, but I woke up in Oman 3 days later. I was in and out of a coma. I was very unstable for some time. I had all the tubes and things like hanging out of me. I had 2 operations. Don't remember the first one. I remember I was sleeping for a lot, like 23 hours a day. I was asleep. My body was just like recovery mode, right? Had these tubes in my mouth. I tried to pull the tubes out in hospital, and I remember thinking, damn, these are in tight. Like, there was zero movement in the tubes. They were like in my body. And I was pulling and yanking it so hard, they tied my arms down. My arms were actually tied down for a week. And when they untied them, I couldn't bend my arms. They were stuck. And they didn't fly my dad out to see me because I woke up from the coma initially. They were going to fly him out. They went to see him and explained to him, like, Cyrus isn't looking good. He's in and out of the coma. And they decided not to fly him out because I woke up out of the coma. And I'm glad they didn't, because I was about to go through one of the biggest lessons of my life. And I think I needed to be there on my own, just experiencing it. So after all the operations, I still couldn't see properly. My vision was blurred and it was doubled. I could focus a bit, but then it would go all blurry, and I had a lot of headaches, obviously. I couldn't hear properly. But it was slowly healing, right? And I had spinal fluid dripping out. When I put my head forward, I had spinal fluid dripping out my nose. When I put my head back, it was going into my throat. But anyway, I went to this military hospital to recover in Oman. I couldn't fly yet. A couple of weeks after it, I was in this room. There was one other guy in the room. He was clearly disabled. He would make noises and shuffle around in the bed. He was trying to bite himself all the time. He couldn't go to the bathroom, couldn't walk, couldn't feed himself. This was everything for him. This older man would come into the hospital every day. He would walk to my bed, ask me how I was doing. I had my jaw wired shut at the time, so I couldn't speak, but I would just kind of like make noises and nod. And he'd go and see this other guy, and then he would leave. And he would do this every day. For about an hour, he'd stay with this guy and leave. And one day, I wrote down on a piece of paper to the nurse, like, what's the story with the guy over there in the bed? She said, "Oh, he was involved in an accident a few months back. Unfortunately, it was very serious. Obviously, he was driving a car with his mum and his sister. His mum and his sister both died. He has lost all function of his body. He still has full capacity of his mind, so he knows exactly what's going on and what happened, and he just can't control his body. The reason why he tries to bite himself every day is because he's trying to kill himself. He's obviously feeling guilty for killing his mum and his sister. And the old guy that comes to visit him every day is his father." So I was like, wait, hold on. I couldn't understand, first of all, how the guy that was coming in, who'd lost his wife, daughter, and his son was disabled for life, was so nice. And I felt embarrassed for myself that I was feeling sorry for myself. So I got out of my funk immediately and I told myself, like, nah, like this isn't going to hold you back. It was very uncertain for me. Like my head was like this big and it was black and everything was all deformed. I looked like the Elephant Man or something. But immediately, woman, I just completely like stopped me in my tracks, and I held my head up, and I was like, "Nah, I'm getting through this." And what it also gave me was insight. I believe that accident happened to me for a reason. It happened for me. It happened for me, and it happened for a couple of reasons. But I was lying on when I heard about this gentleman, like I was running through the accident a lot in my head at the time, as you naturally probably would after something so traumatic happening. It was just like on repeat. But after hearing about this gentleman, I was able to take myself out, stop playing victim, basically, right, and kind of like come out of my body and experience the accident in my mind without feeling like a victim. And what I realized was when I was lying on the desert floor, holding the hands of my friends, screaming out of frustration, I told myself, oh, that moment when you're up to die is going to happen again. And when it does happen, I don't want to feel like that again, because I was extremely upset. So I told myself, I realized it was more of a feeling. It wasn't that I was telling myself, it was like, oh, I need to live my life now in such a way that when it's over again, I don't have any regrets. And that stayed with me, that lesson. And that guy in the hospital bed has stayed with me ever since.
And what are some of the decisions you've made? I know you live in Dubai. I know you run your own business. What are some of the big decisions you made in terms of addiction, recovery, business that were guided by that moment of not wanting to die with regrets?
Yeah. Well, the accident that happened was avoidable, and I actually got a payout from the military. And what I did was, with this in mind, right, that I don't want to live with regrets and I want to travel the world and I want to do stuff. I actually went backpacking for 4.5 years. And it was one of the best things I've ever done, in the sense that I had like complete freedom. I think it's something that most adult humans don't get to feel, complete freedom. In that moment, I felt completely free because I had money in the bank from the accident, right? I would have been able to afford it if I didn't have that accident. And we were just bouncing from country to country. And the negative aspect of it, I guess, is that when my parents divorced and we were drinking, and in the UK, there's a massive drinking culture, right? And so we were going out on the weekends in the UK, drinking alcohol. And when I joined the military, it was a massive part of the culture in the military as well. Drinking was like, you didn't have a choice. You had to go out with the guys at least once a week. But we were going out 3-4 times a week. And not just having a few beers, we were getting smashed. And then when I got this money and I went traveling, I was drinking 5-6 days a week, getting hammered. I was still training. I was still exercising. I was still going to the gym. I was kind of like functioning during the day. but then getting completely obliterated in the night. And eventually I was like, oh, okay, I felt like I could do more with my life. I'm like, there's only so much partying and drinking that you can do until you just feel like empty. So I moved to Dubai and it was like, right, I need to make something of myself. And when I moved to Dubai, I was probably drinking maybe 4 days a week because new city, new people, massive nightlife. And the thing that triggered me, like, again, I was like, okay, I've done the party thing. Now I want to do the business thing. I want to make some money. I want to build something. It wasn't necessarily money orientated as such. It was like, build something. I need to be a part of some driver of the situation. Very much still drinking and partying though. And I think if you really want to knuckle down and focus and build something, you can't have that much alcohol in your life. Like it just doesn't, it doesn't sit well with, wake up in the morning early, being productive, being fit, being confident, being focused and driven, your energy, right? Your soul, it's just depressed massively when there's a lot of alcohol in the picture. And I got married to my wife and I was this party going guy. We'd go out with her drinking. She had this great job. I wasn't earning much money, but I was like spending the last bit I had from the payout. The minute we got married, I told her, okay, I'm done with this now. I'm going to start getting serious and I need to start working. And in order to do that, and I stopped. I didn't stop it 100% completely. I maybe would drink once a month. And the driver it was my desire to create something, but it was also my wife, because my wife was well above my punching weight. She was earning way more money than me. And she also hated a job, right? And I loved her and I wanted to provide for her. And I'd just been on this massive binge drinking, partying stint. And I was like, oh my God, she's had a much harder life than me. She's working in a job that she hates. She's earning more money than me. This doesn't sit well with me, right? I'm the man, I'm the provider, and I'm messing around drinking and going to beaches during my spare time and not really doing anything. And it was like a light switch. It was like, boom, switch on. I'm not doing that anymore. And yeah, it wasn't easy. I didn't immediately start earning more money and being everything, but cutting alcohol out of my life was a massive part in what I've been able to do since then.
Yeah, and exercise has been something that's been like a thread throughout your life. What does exercise mean to you, and how did that help you stay on track when stopping drinking? For
sure. I've exercised pretty much consistently since I was 12, since I saw that photo. I've not taken it seriously all the time, but there's never, I would say there's never been like a week that I haven't done some form of exercise my whole life, since I was 12. And I feel like because I've always exercised, but I've drank a lot of alcohol as well when I've been doing it. It's like exercise for me brings out the best in you. It brings out the best version of you. So I can explain it like this. Like, you can imagine two people, right? Imagine there's a pill that makes you more confident, that releases all these chemicals and endorphins in your body, that aligns you with your purpose, makes you feel good, makes you interact with people differently. And one person, there's two identical people. One person took this pill every morning. They went to work, they shook hands with people, they spoke to people, they socialized, they networked, they did things as this different person after this pill. And the other person didn't take the pill. They took a pill that was the opposite, that made them feel depressed and anxious and sad and low energy, low frequency. And they went about their day. it doesn't take a genius to understand that after about 5-6 years, the person that's taking this pill is going to be way ahead in life. Just because of the energy they give out, the people that's going to trust them, speak to them, believe in them, that person's going to achieve more for sure. They're going to meet the right person because they're putting out that energy. They're going to have a family, whatever it is, right? The other person is going to go the opposite direction. Well, that pill, it's not a pill, it's exercise. It's that simple. It's such a basic thing, but when you train daily, I can tell you it absolutely changes your life, and it puts you in a better frame of mind. And you're going to do things, you're going to go for deals, you're going to achieve more, be more confident if you quite simply just train every day. And I prefer to do it in the morning, first thing in the morning. So I feel like you can train in the evening and it's fine. You're training your body, you're being fit and healthy. It's great, but I like to use it as that pill, right? I don't want that pill before I sleep. I want that pill in the morning before I go about my day. So it's massive. It's absolutely massive, and it helped me a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, like you say, having that pill and having that exercise in your life is really, really important. And you mentioned when you were with your wife and you got married, you kind of wanted to transition from her being the breadwinner to you being the breadwinner. How did you feel starting your business, and what business was it? Tell us about that story and that journey.
Yeah, I left my job. I was working as a personal trainer and started a fitness business, a gym. So I went from being a trainer to being a business owner, and literally figuring things out by throwing as much at the wall as I could. What would stick? It was like I was thrown into the deep end. I had investors. I had to do the sales, the marketing, the customer service, the coaching, the reception, the cleaner. I was everything in that business. And I did that for 3.5 years. And there wasn't money being thrown at me at that point, right? I didn't take a salary for so long. I was taking on clients here and there to pay the bills and to keep up with things. And it was tough. And going through some of the months in Dubai, like Ramadan, for example, I would have clients ask me, do you want to train? Can you train in the night? Because they don't eat during the day during Ramadan, right? So I had like clients at like 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then the gym had to be opened at 6 o'clock in the morning. Then I had my Western clients at like 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, and then I would train myself for a couple of hours. And then I would have more clients in the afternoon. Then I would coach the 5 p.m. class, the 6 p.m. class, the 7 p.m. class. I was hardly sleeping. And it was just this like this grind of just how much work can I get done. And it taught me a lot. It was like my university, right? Because I didn't go to school pretty much. So that was like my initial business university, if you want to call it that, right? It was my first experience. But it gave me the confidence when I left that business to start another one with a friend of mine, which is my current business. And coming off the confidence boost from that, that first business is still actually running in Dubai. It's still successful. It's still running. It's still going well. My current business, I was lucky. I wanted to do something. I'd had like a year out of business, and I realized that when I'm only coaching, like personal training at the time when I was personal training, I was earning good money, but I was miserable because I always knew I could do something more. And again, I like to build things that are going to be bigger than me. I like to build things and watch them grow. So just when you're personal training, it's great. You're helping people, you're coaching people, but the impact is small because you're doing one-on-one only, right? So there's only so many people you can see in a day. And when you stop working, you stop earning. There's nothing there. It's just you work on an hourly thing, and then you don't work and you don't get paid. And that didn't sit well with me. And so I went to see my friend, who was the smartest person I knew at the time, who guided me to go for this next business, which was much bigger. And it wasn't easy because we invested 50% of the cash each. We got through half of the renovation of the gym, and COVID come, and what happened right during that, right? It was very uncertain. People didn't want to be around people. We opened the gym 1 week after lockdown, so it was a very difficult time. But again, just yeah, yeah. We had to have very difficult conversations, with my business partner. And um, the good thing is, after about 6 months, we realized that we were actually onto something because we started getting really good feedback from customers. So we're like, okay, if we can just get through this first year, if we can keep our doors open and lights on, we will be a success. We've just got to get through it, and luckily we did.
Yeah. What was it like when you were thinking about COVID and you just opened the gym and put all your money into it? What was going through your mind? How did you stay strong in that time?
Yeah, mate, I was transferring money that I borrowed to come up with my half of the investment into the business account because I told my business partner that I was going to go in halfway. I'm the kind of guy that if I tell you that, I'm going in halfway, right? And if it's going to destroy my life, I don't care. I told you, I promised you that I was going to do it, so I'm going to do it. We shook hands on it. I was transferring money into the business account, telling myself, I'm never going to see this money again. This is going to be one of those things where I look back in the future and go, oh my God, yeah. But I couldn't not do it. And I was just telling myself, I need to pay these people back some other way because this business that I'm putting the money into is not going to survive this, And again, coming back to my own personal habits helped me a lot. Like when there's chaos going on around you, you need some things to stay grounded. One of them is exercise again, right? Or it might be just going for a walk, reflecting. I feel like as humans now, we don't have time alone enough where we're just letting our minds kind of process things. Right? We're always reading a book, or we're listening to a podcast, we're trying to cram in some information. Sometimes you need to just you have all the answers inside you. You just need to give yourself space to listen and to hear them, right? So it was very much staying grounded in my own physical training, having the help of my business partner kind of guide me through it. He was much more experienced business person than me, so he helped me a lot during those days as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I think, exercise is important. It's important to have stuff in your life that really grounds you, whether that's like a behavior exercise, whether it may be something to keep you grounded when everything's chaotic, when everything's uncertain, when there's a lot of uncertainty, to have something you're certain about. I know that if I go to the gym, that's my safe place, that's my happy place where I can just be and feel comfortable and confident.
Yeah, absolutely. And to make you feel good, like after you've done a hard workout, your problems don't seem so big.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you're feeling bad about something, or you're worrying about something, or you're again too much in your own head, playing victim, whatever it is, right? Do 150 burpees. Just do 150 burpees. Tell me how you feel after the 150 burpees. You're not going to have the same frame of mind after you're absolutely blowing out your ass for 15 minutes doing 150 burpees. It's not going to happen, right? Your problems are going to seem way smaller.
Yeah, exactly. And it really gets you from your mind and your thinking just to your body, and to be more present and grounded in your body 100%. No, that's awesome. That's
Absolutely.
awesome. And yeah, go ahead.
One more thing on the exercise thing, like when you start the day with exercise, because it gets you in such a good frame of mind, and physically gets you feeling so well as well. It's like if you think about alcohol after you've just worked out, it doesn't like stick, it doesn't mesh well with it. It's like alcohol. I just worked out. It's completely the opposite ends of the spectrum. It's the same with unhealthy eating, right? If you eat shit, you're going to feel like shit. So if you eat healthy, you're going to feel healthy, you're going to feel good. And when you've just exercised, the thought of eating a burger, for example, it doesn't even enter your mind. It's like, there's no way I'm going to eat that. I've just trained. So it helps keep you on track with other things as well. Just being grounded in that, and the exercise.
Yeah, no, that's really, really important. 100%. To have that health and just to be aligned, right? To be aligned in that way of being healthy and staying on track. And Cyrus, if people want to find out more about you, connect with you, how can they do that? What's the best way for them to find out more about you?
Yeah, the best way people can contact me is through Instagram, and it's at Coach Cyrus. That's Cyrus. And yeah, that, reach out to me if you're struggling with anything, an addiction, if you're going through I coach people as well. I have my fitness businesses, my brick and mortar fitness business, but I also coach people as well. So I have people reach out to me all the time. I've helped obese people realize that they can get in shape, believe in themselves, and actually drop the weight. I've got some crazy transformations. I've had people that have been reliant on alcohol for many years, drinking daily, highly addicted to it because of past trauma, and have helped them realize and get over it through a daily process of habits, reflection, reading. So even if it's not reaching out for coaching or anything like that, I'm happy to speak with people on Instagram. I love having conversations with people. My goal is, when I have a conversation with someone, either in a DM or a call or whatever, is just to give. It's not if you end up being my client, fine, but if you don't, I'm still going to give you what I think about your situation and what I think you need to do. So I'm really happy to hear from your from your listeners. If they want to reach out to me, hit me up on Instagram.
Awesome. And to everyone listening, we'll link all of that down below to Cyrus's Instagram and everything. Anything you want to leave the audience with as we sort of sign off, Cyrus? Any final messages?
Yeah. I'm a firm believer in taking yourself out of your comfort zone. And so if somebody is listening to this right now and they're maybe going through something and they're, in their own head a little bit, I highly encourage you to do something that's outside of your comfort zone, right? So it might be just putting on a pair of running trainers and running until you can't breathe anymore, right? Pushing yourself. You might be finding a big mountain somewhere close by and just walking up it with a pack on your back. You might be trying an ice bath. An ice bath is something that I do quite regularly. I have one in my house and in my place of work. Jumping in that freezing cold water, taking yourself out of your comfort zone, breathing through, very cold water is something that really takes you out of your own head and into your own body. Right? You're not thinking about whatever's going on in the world when you're in like 2-degree water. You're breathing and you're focused in the moment. It's like extreme meditation. So my advice to people is, if they're going through something and they're feeling a bit stuck and they're in their own head, do something uncomfortable, ideally something physical.
Awesome. Well, great message to sign off with. Thanks very much, Cyrus, for being on the podcast.
Thanks, Luke. Appreciate it.